Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Jen Sugarmeyer, your host of Mindset in the Morning, and we are here live 5 days a week at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. But because it's YouTube, you can tune in whenever you would like. And because it's daylight savings time, who knows what time it is locally to you, to your time zone in the United States. We changed time zones this past weekend. So here we are live 5 days a week. And we are talking all things mindset. Why mindset? Because it is part of the holy trinity of health: mind, body, soul, or mind, body, spirit. And we know that we need to be working out our bodies, and we know we need to be taking care of our soul and our spirit. But what are we doing daily for our mind? And as a globally, when we talk about mind, a lot of times people get a little uncomfortable and they think, oh, no, I'm not crazy. I don't need to work on my mind. The truth is, every single one of us need to be working on our mind. We need to exercise our mental muscle. That is where all of our power is. Our power is right here, the 6 inches in between our ears. It tells us if we can or if we can't. It's where we're happy or we're angry, or where we have successes or where we have failures. It is all in how we choose to show up in this world. And it's like we're training for the game of life. There's nobody on a sports field that doesn't have a coach and that isn't learning the plays. That's all this is we're learning. I'm kind of like a coach. I am a certified coach, but we're learning together. We're learning the plays of what it's like to be out there on the field. So when things happen, you're able to bob and weave and make it through with a lot more ease. And the truth is, for myself, it took me 35 years to wake up and say, oh my gosh, I'm not living the life that I want. This isn't what I had imagined my world to look like. So I started to dig into the mind. And when I did, everything changed. And by everything, I mean everything, but also nothing changed. My job didn't change. My relationship status didn't change. There were so many things that didn't change. And yet I changed. My happiness was there, my fulfillment in life. There were so many areas that I was angry about before because my needs weren't being met. And as soon as I understood the mind, then I could step powerfully into my life, into the driver's seat, take more control, and have the happiness that I knew that I deserved. And I believe that everybody deserves happiness. Everybody does. So that's what we talk about here, is how to get to where you want to be, which is in the driver's seat of your life, so that you are calling the shots. Even if it seems like you're not, how can you take your mind and transition that to start to work for you? So we talk about very basic things, not these woo woo mindset things, but we talk about everyday real life. So today we're going to talk about communication, because communication is something that we do every single day. And it's interesting watching this new generation, because I there's just a lot more social media and ways to communicate, behind a screen, that when I was growing up, I didn't have a computer in the classroom. I remember when we got a computer, it was those big old fat ones, and we would get like 30 minutes a week or something like that. We'd have to sign up and you could get your 30 minutes to go on the computer. Like, ooh, it was a big deal. And any kids that are watching this are probably laughing because, they're during the pandemic, like everybody was like, oh, you it was like Oprah. Oh, you need a computer. You need a computer. They don't even use computers. They just use like little smart tablets. like, like this world is so advanced. Anyway, so the world has changed in terms of the way that we communicate. And so in order to have effective communication, especially if you're in some kind of leadership position, and whatever leadership means to you, that could be leadership in your home, that could be in your office, that could be with your friends, whatever that is. We're going to talk about some of the don'ts. These are the don'ts. And then we're going to take another session and we're going to talk about some do's. But because we are talking about some don'ts, you could just take the exact opposite of that and figure out some of the do's for today. But we've got a whole nother set for the next session. So This today is all about things not to do in order to have an effective conversation. But first, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you are part of the solution to help grow this algorithm so that others can hear this message as well. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get rolling. All right. Some of the things not to do in a conversation. So when you're sitting down, and I want you to let's focus on having face-to-face conversations. Yeah. So first thing I have written down, don't have conversations over text. Don't have conversations over email. And I don't mean just any, I mean the important ones. So if you are, got this little bun thing going on. If you are having an important conversation where tone matters, where words can be confused, have these conversations face to face. Don't be having them over text message. I try to be really good about this. And I actually had one of these conversations recently, and it was over text message, and it just wasn't the most effective. Now, we got on the phone, we started talking, but we both agreed that not the best way of having the conversation over text message because things get lost. You can say something and it sound one way in your head, and it sounds completely different in someone else's because they don't know what tone you're using. They don't know the grammar. They don't know. It's sometimes we shorten our words because we're texting, and maybe a little more context would have made sense. But because words are missing, people make assumptions, and that's not what we want to do. So pick up the phone. If you're going to have an important conversation, if you're going to break up with somebody, if you want to confront them about something, if you want whatever serious conversation you're going to have, leader of the work, the home, your friends, whatever it is, have that conversation, or just two friends having a conversation. Pick up the phone and talk. Whatever your role is, whatever the conversation is, if it is something that requires a phone conversation, don't do it over text message. Don't break up with somebody. Don't have a serious conversation. We got to start using our words. Okay. This is very important. This is very important. And we so often do this. This is going to change the way that you show up in a conversation, and it's going to make you a better listener. Ready? You probably want to write this down. Don't make everything about you. When you are listening to someone, listen. Don't start making things about you. It's so easy for us to get caught in this trap. Oh, well, you said this. That means that you're saying this about me. Wait, and was it being said about you? Or did you just infer that? Did you just assume that? When people are talking from their hearts, they're talking about what's going on with them. So allow them that opportunity to talk about themselves. Don't make it about you. So if you want to be a more effective communicator, listen to the words that are being said about that person and leave it there. Don't start turning things around. Leave it there. I've probably done this a ton in my life. I've observed this over and over. And I think this is one of the biggest failures of conversations, or one of the biggest disruptors of conversations, is when somebody is pouring their heart out and you're looking for ways to make it about you. And then you do, and the other person doesn't feel heard or doesn't feel understood, or they feel like you took the spotlight off them and put it onto you. And it's really easy for us to do. You'll start to notice in conversations that you're having with somebody that somebody's talking and, oh, are you saying that I'm too tall? Are you saying that I'm not good enough? Are you saying that I should do this? Are you saying that I should? Are you talking about me? Are you talking about? maybe there is an element of that thing, whatever this person's talking about, that does resonate with you. But let's not dominate the conversation. Listen to it. And maybe there are ways that you can slightly modify your behavior so that you two can come together. Here's an example. Here's a good example. I was telling, I had a conversation with a business partner, and I told her something felt very disrespectful. It felt disrespectful when, and I'm talking about a situation, I felt disrespected in the situation. The powerful conversation then would be, okay, how do we come together on the same page? If you are feeling that way, Jen Sugarmeyer, your feelings are valid. How do we come to an agreement so that you don't feel that way, so that I feel good in this conversation? How do we meet someplace where we both are on the same page? Instead, this person flew through the roof, got very defensive, and that wasn't the objective. In fact, the thing she went through the roof about was not even what I was saying. My point is, I felt disrespected when these things are going on, when I show up and she doesn't. I feel disrespected when I'm doing the work and you don't. So, how do we find a better solution? Do we meet at a different time? Do we instead, this person took it all so personally, went through the roof, said, this is all about me. And that wasn't it. So when you're in these conversations, don't make them all about you. Listen to what the other person is saying. Very, very powerful. That'll change how you communicate. All right, next, don't interrupt. Let the person talk. Sometimes we hear their side of the story. And to be honest, we all have sides of stories. That's the job. That's what makes it so hard for somebody that's in law enforcement, because they're listening to two people with two different stories about the same situation. We have different viewpoints. And so when we hear something and we're like, oh, that's a little different, we want to insert our opinions. Don't interrupt. Allow the other person to talk, to get it out, because you may say something and it completely throws that person off. What was I saying? I don't know. I don't know where I was at. It's so easy for us to lose our place. If somebody is coming from the heart, let them go with it. Don't stop them. They're in their flow. So give them that respect. All right. Don't lose it. Like, don't fly off the handle. One really good way to start a fight with somebody is to get angry or to lose your cool. The other person, let's assume the conversation is very calm. If you get really defensive, you know what the other person's going to do? Get really defensive. They might not, but there's a good chance, because we fight with fights. We don't want to just get attacked. So somebody's going to start to get more angry. And what do we know about anger? Well, we know that it's a state of suffering. What do we know about suffering? That that's not our most powerful state. When you're angry, what do? You punch a wall. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying these have happened. I've witnessed them. Maybe I've done them. You punch a wall. You kick a can full of water and you break your toe. That was me. I did that. You say things that you don't mean. Why? Because you don't have the clarity and the peace. So just as you are listening, take your emotions, put them to the side. Don't bring them into the conversation. Have a conversation of words from heart to heart, When you start getting angry and defensive, the other person is going to mirror you and do the same. And then it's just not going to be an effective conversation because you're not coming from a place of clarity. You're coming from a place that is not your most powerful state. And that's not where you want to be. All right. 3 more things, and then we're going to call it. Don't assume. Okay. You know what they say about assume? ASSUME. That is, don't make an ass out of you and me. So don't assume. That's assume, ass, you, me. Assume, right? Don't make an ass out of you and me. If we assume things, so maybe you're listening and all of a sudden your mind starts to wander. Oh, well, this person must mean this. Oh, you must mean that. Oh, and you start making assumptions. You could be going down an entirely wrong rabbit hole. And by the way, your assumptions might look like what you think is truth. Oh, well, this has to be true because my brain thought of it. No, listen to the person. Listen to them. Don't assume things that are being said. All right. Don't tell somebody how they should feel. Well, you should just really be happy. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't be this. You should be that. Don't should or shouldn't somebody. Allow them to process those emotions. It is not your responsibility to tell somebody how they should be. We all need to come to the conclusion ourselves. And when we do, this was one of the things that I learned in corporate, sort of a side note, is that the people I worked with, and I worked in a male dominated industry, and a lot of times they didn't want to hear what I had to say. And I learned it was a lot more powerful when it sounded like it was their idea. And so I needed to figure out a way to get them on board and that then become their idea. Because if it's your idea, then you're able to endorse it and support it. Otherwise, it's just Jen's idea that you have to initiate. But if it's your idea that you have to initiate, yeah, and you see the benefit and the value and all the kudos and accolades you're going to get from that, yeah. So you want somebody to come to their own conclusion, not I was forced to feel happy because somebody told me I had to be. Somebody told me I shouldn't be angry, even though I really am. Let people manage themselves. Don't tell them how to feel. That also can also come with some level of defensive reaction. Well, just be happy. What do you mean be happy? See? Well, don't be angry. I'm not angry. Don't tell people how their emotions should be. Let them figure it out. And lastly, don't tell someone they're wrong. Oh, no, you're wrong. Again, let them come to their own conclusions. Show them why they're wrong. Don't tell them. Show them. If there's a conversation, like when I said, hey, I feel this certain way, maybe the other person can then say, well, look, here are some of the reasons, the justifications, look, Jen, this wasn't a dig on you. This is just, and we have a conversation about it instead of saying, well, you're wrong. You're wrong. People are going to get defensive. And by the way, this was a conversation that happened a long time ago, but it's a good one. It's a good example. So just to put that in context, but don't tell people they're wrong. Don't tell them how to feel. Don't assume in situations. Don't lose your cool. Don't make situations about you. And don't have important conversations over text message or over email. Pick up the phone, see each other face to face. That's how you're going to be able to step in and have a more effective conversation. So tomorrow we're going to talk about, or the next video, we're going to talk about what to do. You can infer some of those from today, but those are some things not to do. So hit that like button if you haven't yet already. Hit that subscribe button. And if you have a topic that you want to talk about, email me at jen.sugarmeyer You can message me there, either a specific thing or a general topic that you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it here on the show. So I will see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow. And as you're going out and having those conversations today, make sure that you pay attention how you're showing up and think about some of those don'ts so that you too can become a more effective communicator. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Cheers.